Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible force that decides how, when, and why basically everything you buy gets made. It's called production planning, and it's kind of the secret ingredient behind a company's success or its failure. You know the feeling, right? It's so frustrating. You finally decide to click buy, and then you see that dreaded out-of-stock message. Or maybe your package is delayed again. Well, the answer almost always traces back to one place: the super complex, high-stakes world of production planning. So let's get into how it all works. Here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the huge challenge that factories are up against. Then, we'll get into the art of production planning itself. After that, we'll look at the chaos it has to fight every day, explore the seriously smart tools planners are using now, and finally, see how a great plan actually turns into real profit. All right, so let's start with the fundamental problem. You see, running a factory isn't just about making things. It's this constant, high-stakes balancing act, trying to juggle a dozen different goals all at once. And this is where it gets really tricky, because these goals are often at war with each other. Think about it. Want to meet a sudden spike in demand? Well, your costs are probably going to go up. Want to cut your inventory to save cash? You risk selling out. Try to maximize throughput by just making things as fast as possible. You might end up with a mountain of products nobody actually wants. It's this incredibly delicate puzzle where every single move affects the bottom line. So how in the world do you solve a puzzle like that? Well, this is where our hero steps in. The discipline of production planning. It's all about bringing a calm, strategic order to what could otherwise be total chaos. To put it simply, production planning is the factory's brain. It's the command center that aligns all the resources. We're talking machines, raw materials, people, to meet what the market wants without, going broke. And that's the key right there. It isn't just about making stuff. It's about making the right stuff at the right time for the right cost. So the process usually starts with forecasting, kind of like playing psychic with sales data to predict what's coming. Then planners create a production schedule that has to be both practical and flexible. They watch inventory like a hawk because having too much is just as bad as having too little. And finally, they're always optimizing the flow, constantly tweaking things to make that journey from raw material to finished product faster, smoother, and more efficient. Of course, no plan is ever perfect, right? The real world is messy. So production planners are constantly fighting a whole army of villains that are always trying to derail their perfectly crafted strategies. And here they are. Demand for a product can just vanish overnight. A critical machine breaks down out of nowhere. A key part gets stuck in shipping. And then you have these really tricky internal problems, like something called bottleneck drift. That's when the slowest part of your whole production line unexpectedly moves from one machine to another, messing up the entire flow. These are the kinds of fires a planner has to put out every single day. This brings us to this fundamental conflict that planners live with. It's a constant tug of war. Do you push for maximum throughput, just churning out as many products as you can as fast as you can? Or do you focus on minimizing waste and cost, running a much leaner, more efficient operation? If you go too hard on throughput, you can end up with a warehouse full of unsold stuff. But if you focus too much on cost saving, you might not be able to react when a huge order suddenly comes in. It is a constant strategic trade-off. So how do they even begin to manage all this complexity? Well, planners are not just relying on spreadsheets anymore. Today, they have this whole arsenal of incredibly smart, high-tech tools to help them predict what's coming, adapt on the fly, and optimize everything in real time. I mean, their toolkit is seriously impressive. It's got everything from classic ideas like the just-in-time philosophy, all the way to digital simulations that can create a virtual twin of the entire factory. And on the absolute cutting edge, you've got things like genetic algorithms, which, and this is cool, they test thousands of possible schedules to find the fittest one, kind of like evolution. Yeah, this is definitely not your grandfather's factory floor. Now, one of the biggest things these tools help manage is something called the bottleneck. The easiest way to think about it is like a funnel, right? No matter how much water you pour into the top, it can only come out as fast as that narrowest part allows. In a factory, the bottleneck is that one machine or that one process that sets the speed limit for everything else. Finding it and managing it is absolutely critical. And this is where that advanced tech really, really shines. This quote is talking about using AI schedulers that literally learn as they go. They can see a problem coming, like a machine about to fail or a supply delay, and they can reschedule the entire factory floor instantly to keep things running as smoothly as possible.
This is proactive problem solving on a level that was basically science fiction just a few years ago. So, what's the bottom line here? What does all this complex planning and high-tech wizardry actually get you? Well, let's look at the real-world impact of a truly brilliant production strategy.
This chart really says it all. An unplanned, chaotic system just struggles. You get low output and high costs. But with an optimized plan, performance just explodes. Throughput, the amount of stuff you can actually make, shoots way up, while your costs are slashed. We're not talking about a small improvement here. This is a complete transformation of the business. So what's the ultimate payoff? Well, great planning means less money is tied up in inventory, the whole operation runs smoother, and the system becomes tough enough to handle shocks from the outside world. It lets a company respond way faster to what you, the customer, actually want. And all of that leads to higher profits and, most importantly, happier customers who get their orders on time.
And that brings us to our final thought. We've seen how AI and advanced scheduling are totally changing manufacturing today. But as factories get even smarter, with more automation and mountains of new data, what's the next frontier? Is it going to be managing these incredibly complex supply chains for hyper-personalized products made just for you? Or maybe optimizing for sustainability and a circular economy? One thing's for sure, the factory's brain is only going to get more powerful, and the challenges it will solve are just beginning.